All right, Celtics live post-game. I mean, by game's end, that somehow just turned into an absolute whooping. Celtics drop that one to the Jazz, 122-108. Like I said, there were times in that game when the Jazz were in complete control, for the majority of that game in complete control, but that final score just spits in the face of any efforts the Celtics gave tonight. But if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Periscope or Twitch or anywhere else that we are streaming this, make sure to head over to YouTube. I just tweeted out the link. Click on that link and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where to make out on that because I want to go in two directions here. The first being that, Tatum for the most part didn't have the best game. Kemba had a dog what game. And Jaylen Brown, was the only one that really played well, and there's even parts of that game where he disappeared. But I also want to go in the direction of the Utah Jazz are just filthy. Like, they are the hottest team in the NBA right now. So that's like the one bit of, okay, don't overreact to this loss, right? But that's if this loss is in a vacuum. These losses are starting to pile up for the Celtics, and it feels like compared to, years past here when we're jumping on the postgame, we're talking about a lot of freaking losses compared to wins. But let's get into the stream. Let's get into the box score. It ain't a good-looking one, but let's get right into it. Like I said, 122 to 108. Jaylen Brown, looked for that first half, he played unbelievable. 20 points, I believe, in the first half. He finished with 33 and 8. Jaylen Brown did his job, you know what I mean? There were parts of that game where he sort of disappeared and whatnot, but that's not his fault. That's the, the minority in this situation here. Jaylen Brown did his job. Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, those are the guys that are supposed to fill in when Jaylen Brown disappears after his 33-point night. Jason Tatum, 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 23 points. But the one thing I'm going to say was good about Jason Tatum tonight, it wasn't working for him, right? He wasn't shooting well. He wasn't making shots. I feel like Jason Tatum was in his own head tonight. The one thing he said, okay, screw it. You know what I'm going to try to do? Get to the hoop. 8 foul shots from tonight. So there's the bit of positive. Daniel Tice with 15 points. He was on fire from 3. He did end up fouling out. But then, the fact that you have to jump from 33 points to 23 points to Daniel Tice as your next leading scorer and then a massive drop-off to 7 points, which Kemba Walker, 2 of 12, 16% from the field. Yeah, I wish this box score was fake. 16% from the field, 25% from 3, 7 points from Kemba Walker. Yikes. On the Jazz side of things, I mean, they just had multiple guys that just seemed to go off, and if they didn't go off all game long, they made huge shots down the stretch. So Donovan Mitchell finished with 36 points, Ingles 24, Rudy Gobert 18 and 12. I mean, the Jazz just couldn't miss down the stretch, and they really just took it to them. Like, they made sure to close that game out. They did what the Celtics seem to fail to do very often, even when they are winning games. 5 minutes left on the clock. We have a small lead. Let's make that lead astronomical and close this game out. That's what the Jazz did. They just could not miss down the stretch. Let's get to some of the chat here. Sergio's checking in, saying Jazz just couldn't miss from 3. I think they're like first in the league in 3 points attempts and 3 points made and percentage and whatnot, too. So they're just a really good shooting team. There was a couple just jacks by Mitchell, too, that went in late in the game there. So, yeah, they just couldn't miss from 3. Gear says, what a disaster. Yeah, see, I don't know. I think the chat's probably going to dictate how I end up feeling about this game, right? Obviously, when we come on here, and I read your messages and we have some conversation, I end up feeling better about the game. But I'm confused as to where I come out on that because the Jazz are really good. Did the Celtics down Marcus Smart just lose to a really good team? Or, are there some huge glaring issues here? Wangi says there's a lot that could be said, right? There's a lot that could be said, right? But you could. It's all already been said before. I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading that. Veronica's saying trade Kemba. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the stream tonight, so hang tight. Jason says, I saw this coming from the beginning of the season. It will continue at home until Boston gets some bench scorers. I don't think you're wrong there. We'll probably talk about that too. JC says, Ev, it's time to trade Kemba. It's Jay Caesar. Jay Caesar's checking in. JC. Jay is over on the YouTube. I like to see it. Veronica says, Jaylen 33-8. I'm sure Ainge is looking to make a move. Yeah, there has been some talk too, right? There has been some talk about Danny Ainge says something is going to happen, or it's been up now. At the same time, I feel like we've heard that from Danny Ainge before too, right? Like, expect fireworks, and then he goes and like drafts Carson Edwards or something. But I think you know, we're starting to see games, and the Celtics record just as a whole here kind of speaks to the fact of, okay, this can't be the team that we're trying to move forward with, you know. Sergio says we played bad, but also have to take into account it's the best team in the NBA right now. That's why I'm confused in the loss. The Jazz are absolutely legit. Like, they're the hottest team in the league right now. So the Celtics did just lose to a bad team. The Celtics did just lose to a really good team. Birkin says Jaylen needs to touch the ball more even if he does not shoot. Yeah, see, that's the one thing. And now I said, that's the only negative to Jaylen tonight. He does just disappear at times. But he had 33-8 on 60% and 50%. Like, I can't get mad at Jaylen for disappearing, you know, catching his breath for 2 minutes. That's when Kemba or Jason Tatum is supposed to step it up. But I do think down the stretch, maybe a couple more touches for him could go. Dean says legit. Yeah, that team is legit. JL says that doesn't mean we should play like crap. I know. Jay says their coach is a real coach and has the fire. He has his players disciplined. Yeah, Brad Stevens. Every time they flash to Brad Stevens, we got the... in a really, really close game. That's you guys know where I come from. That is the knock I have on Brad. It's like a close game. You can be. I'm not saying you are, but you can be just as much of an impact as a player out there. I know it's a stretch to say that, but you know, my big Brad Stevens take is, you know, we all praise Brad Stevens. I think he's a great coach too. But what's wrong in saying that guy should get better with his players? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are getting better and better and better. Why is Brad Stevens the same coach he was 8 years ago? Let's see. Ricardo says, I hate overreacting, but I think Danny needs to make a move. I totally agree. I think there's something that needs to happen, even if it's not the blockbuster that we've all been waiting for. Something needs to happen to be able to bring in another guy that can either score the ball or play down low. Just, you can get a couple bench guys and make this team a lot better. Kevin says, how great did Kemba look tonight, guys? The max contract player that we have all been hoping for. That was Kemba's, I mean, he was just terrible. Terrible. And you know what I'm noticing about Kemba? I don't know if it's a confidence thing or whatnot, but it's like every jump shot he has, so Kemba Walker used to come off screens, right? Whether it's a three, whether it's a mid-range, and nail it with that defender on his back. He would come off a screen and make the jump shot. And I'm like, wow, the fact that he can just have the confidence to shoot that, knowing there's a guy 1 centimeter behind him. Kemba Walker, every time he does that now, it's like he shoots and goes, ah! And like, it's like he doesn't even try and get off a good jumper. It's like he's lost that sort of confidence of, okay, I don't care if there's a guy right behind me. I'm going to get this off quick and make it. And then even when he goes to the hole, it's like he's getting blocked every single time. There's something, and again, you know, he's only been back for, 10 games or something. The things could change, but I don't know. I feel like he's having a good game, and then, you know, we go, hey, screw the trade Kemba crowd. And then he's a game like this where the trade Kemba crowd is completely justified. He's a roller coaster so far. Veronica says they were missing Conley too. Yeah, I think... I was going to say I think Smart means more to that team than Conley, but this year Conley has meant a lot to the Jazz. I think he's fit in a little bit better this year, so yeah. JL says, we looking like an average team. I mean, the record would say it too. That's what I said. I mean, yeah, you lost to a really, really good team tonight, but now these losses are starting to pile up, and it's like this team's only, a cup? I don't... Just over 500? Yikes, that's not the team that we love. D-Money says if Kemba hits his shots, we win that game. Yeah, and I think if Kemba hits his shots, say he hits half the shots that he took, Jason Tatum hits some more shots, like if the Celtics were able to fire on all cylinder, which I think the Jazz kind of did tonight, I think the Celtics probably do win that game, I guess, but they didn't. You know what I mean? They made it difficult for Kemba. Rudy Gobert was an absolute factor in the paint. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like the Celtics were missing shots. I think the Jazz were playing really, really good defense too. Does that make sense? So it's like too easy. Like I don't want to say, hey, I think if Tatum makes 5 more shots and Kemba makes 6 more shots, they win this game. Like I think mathematically speaking, no kidding. But I think the Jazz did a lot to make the Celtics players play bad tonight. And I don't want to be on here like giving the Jazz ultimate praise because I think the Celtics did kind of drop the ball too, but that Jazz team's legit. And Mole, I don't know if I'm going to call you Ubi because that's your last name there. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He says Kemba and TT got to go. I didn't like this about Tristan Thompson tonight. Now, he had a tough matchup, but they were like going to him. Tristan Thompson shot 7 times tonight. I've seen Tristan Thompson shoot 0 times against way worse big men. What's he going up and shooting so much against Gobert tonight? Sergio says, I'm not on the trade Kemba bandwagon, but he does need to figure it out. That's probably the best way to put it. I'm not on the trade Kemba bandwagon either, but this isn't the Kemba that we can have. Like, this isn't all right. Oh, but Kemba Walker, he had 7 assists tonight. 7 and 7 ain't gonna cut it. You want to drop 7 assists a game, Kemba? I'll take that, but you gotta give like 18 points. You know what I mean? If you're gonna score, under 20 points, I'll take the 7 assists, but you can't be scoring 7 points. Jay says this team needs a new voice. They look sick of Brad Stevens. I'm not going to that extent yet. I know Jay has been on that train and privy to that train for probably a year plus now. But it's like over and over again we're seeing him get outcoached. Honestly, like this is the thing. This shows Brad Stevens on his heels, right? And I don't think that this is a Brad Stevens like bad game tonight, okay? I think this is a good team that the Celtics lost to. But Brad Stevens is on his heels. Rudy Gobert's checking in. He's like, Tice, go, 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 go. It's like they had no plan other than throw Daniel Tice on Rudy Gobert when they're in the game. And that isn't a plan, okay? Hey, I love Daniel Tice as much as the next guy, but your answer for Rudy Gobert on both ends of the floor is not Daniel Tice. And that's like the only thing he could do. And you knew he was doing it because Gobert would check out for 2 minutes. Tice would come out. The minute Gobert steps foot on the floor, he's like, Tice, get back in there. As if Tice was like the Gobert whisperer, right? It's like, no, you're just throwing another guy that would suck against him out there. And it showed. Guys, I'm going to say this again. If you are watching on any other, because I see a lot of Periscope comments in here, make sure to head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. That is where we're going to be streaming moving forward. I just tweeted out the link, so if you're watching this on Twitter or Periscope, make sure to head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the stream, and yeah, subscribe. And we got more videos. We got way more videos than just these post-game streams. We are here live after every single Celtics game. Tommy says, I love Brad, but he got out-coached badly, kept on going to the zone, never got one stop, rotations were bad, could not find a way to exploit Joe Ingles when we have 2 elite wings. I mean, well said. I'm not even going to react to it, Tommy. That's a good comment. AD says, might need to start being concerned about Kemba. I do think it's time to be like, okay, Kemba, turn it around. I'm not on the trade him or, oh my God, I'm shaking in my boots about Kemba, but I'm definitely not as confident as I am or was even a week ago. You know what I mean? I feel like Kemba just keeps on having a good game, and it's like, oh, shut up, trade Kemba crowd. And then he goes out there and sucks, and it's like, oh, geez, trade Kemba, right? And then he has a good game. It's like it's and that's not what you want, right? You don't want the inconsistency from your stud former all-star max contract player. So that's my problem with him. I think Kemba's had plenty of good games this year too, but I'm not looking to gamble on, hey, what's Kemba gonna do tonight? 7 points or 22 points? That ain't it. Dean says Utah moves the ball and finds shooters. Yep. Ubi says the problem is he isn't. Ray says trade Kemba. It's just time. I think you got to get I don't know. I think I've given my Kemba piece as of right now. Wangi says they don't play as a team. They don't down the stretch. They do not play as a team. It's Jason Tatum's turn, then it's Kemba Walker's turn, and then they're like, hey, let's give it to Jaylen Brown. The guy has 33 points tonight. Why don't we try him out this possession? It's like they're not moving. Like the Jazz were the perfect example. They moved without the ball. They were hitting the open man, drilling threes. If not drilling threes, dumping it down on a pick and roll to Rudy Gobert for an easy dunk. The Celtics were like, okay, let's see what we can do. I'm going to be on SportsCenter because I'm going to try and cross this guy up and pull up over him. And it's like, come on. I hate to be like the loser that's like, hey, everyone touched the ball this possession, but I mean, maybe a little bit of that, you know, when you're playing in like basketball camps when you're a kid and stuff, and it's like, hey, everyone on the team has to touch the ball before you score. Why don't they try some of that? I don't know. Veronica says, we want a bigger point guard, sick of these little ones. I mean, that would be good. And Marcus Smart is that sort of guard off the bench with the size, right? But the fact that it is kind of sketchy that we have, right? If we're talking strictly point guards here, we have Kemba Walker, puny. Peyton Pritchard, pretty puny. Jeff Teague, terrible and pretty puny. And then Carson Edwards, it's like, what is it? I think it's that Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens probably just like to be taller than their point guards to assert some sort of dominance, because it ain't happened vocally and it ain't happening with the fire from Brad Stevens. So maybe he just likes to look down on his guys. I don't know. But it is crazy that they don't have that one just bigger point guard. Yeah, I don't know. Jay says, Lonzo Ball, trade for Lonzo Ball. We'll see. Ubi says he got to fit the free throw line, which is good. Yeah, Tatum did. Ray says, we need to make big moves. This Tice is a master idiot fouler. Yeah. Kemba, Steven Taylor says Kemba. Sergio says, if you think Lonzo Ball is the answer, you're a loss. I think I think you're probably talking to others in the chat, because I think I've fought the Lonzo Ball fight. I think Lonzo Ball could be good on this team, but he isn't like a Kemba replacement, because though Kemba has stunk plenty this year, if they have only Lonzo Ball as their third best offensive option, I think you're in trouble. So I think a lot more needs to happen other than, hey, just like flip Kemba for Lonzo Ball. You know what I mean? Like a lot more would need to happen if Lonzo Ball is going to be your new point guard. They got to have scoring coming from different directions. Another guy they probably traded for to provide scoring, like, because Lonzo Ball isn't going to be the scorer. Bergen says, yeah, Matter's the future point guard. I mean, from the brief, like, overseas or whatever clips I've seen of him, it's like, he looks better than some of the guys we got. I'll be honest. Guys, I will catch up in the comments. I promise. We have so many tonight. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit just to keep up a little bit more relevant. So if I did miss your comment, just go ahead and ask it again if you see that I'm answering a comment after yours. Ricardo says, how much longer until Kemba becomes genuinely tradable, because we can't have him having one good game and then bad the next. Okay. So that's kind of a good transition here, because we've been talking about Kemba. When does he actually become tradable? I don't think you trade Kemba after a game like this. I think you probably, if, say, this inconsistency starts happening, then maybe the trade deadline. You know, I don't think you rush into trading Kemba, because it's still early in the year, still early for him especially. I do think you can be a little bit more patient than we think. I hate to say it, but I don't think the Celtics are winning the championship this year, so what's the big rush into going in, in trading for him, especially if you're going to be trading Kemba for, in some way, shape, or form, a package where, he's probably the best player in the deal. I know he's not showing it this year, but he's the best player in the deal. And then you're getting guys like JJ Redick and Lonzo Ball, who are two guys that could really, really help this team. But it's like, okay, well then what if Kemba, just needed a little bit more time, so on and so forth. I think you do have to think out the Kemba trade if you're going to think about it or do it. And I do think you pull the trigger when it makes sense rather than just rushing into it. Get Bucket says plenty of good games. Kemba has had plenty of good games this year. If you don't think Kemba's had plenty of good games this year, then I don't know what games, like, there's been, out of Kemba's probably like 50% of his games have actually been good games. The thing is, that 50% is not good enough. He's a max contract guy. He's supposed to be scoring at least 20 points a night, not just scoring, 19, 20. But I do think Kemba has had good games this year. I didn't say great games. I didn't say unbelievable games. Kemba's had good games this year. Dre says too much ISO ball. It is, especially down the stretch. Richard says, when do you think Danny will use the trade player exception? I honestly think Danny's going to wait till the offseason. I think he's too methodical and too thought out to even risk possibly, like, blowing it all in one spot. Like, I think that he's really going to make sure that he's doing the correct thing with it, which I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, because there's guys out here like Aaron Gordon is a good example. I feel like, I know he's injured right now, but could be really, really gettable just based on his price as of right now. Who knows if he comes back after the trade deadline and whatnot, has a great year, and then the price skyrockets. It's like the stock market, the player market out there. If Danny Ainge has a plan and he's set in stone, hey, we're gonna wait until after the year to use this trade player exception, then he could be missing an opportunity. But at the same time, I stand by saying I don't think you rush into using that, because I think that you can make just lower tier trades that make this team way, way better. PJ Tucker, JJ Redick, just getting guys that I think would take this team, honestly, to the next level or to contend a little bit more without having to say, hey, we just got another superstar with the Hayward money. Jay says, that's on Brad. They don't play as a team. That's on Brad. He's becoming watered down. I think Brad just needs to get better, okay? And I've said it over and over again, too, and I think it's a good point to say, hey, he's a great coach. He's a good coach. I don't think there's a better option out there. The Celtics are a good team right now, so why risk it by taking a no-name coach, right? But, and it's a huge but, why can, like, when I say this on Twitter or on the podcast or on the streams, luckily tonight I think I'm getting a lot of agreement here, but it's like, why can't I say Brad Stevens should be getting better as a coach? Jason Tatum's getting better as a player. Jaylen Brown's getting better as a player. Why can't Brad Stevens, the coach of the future, the players of the future are getting better? Why can't we say, hey, Brad Stevens, you're a great coach, but can you get a little bit better at things? He's supposed to be such a great coach. Why can't he get a little bit better? The game starts slow. They come out of halftime, have slow third quarters. It's like, those are the two times when they're talking to the coach the most. So I don't know. I think that that's a fair ask. Brad Stevens to get better. I'm not ready to fire him, though. I don't think that he's watered down, Jay. I don't think that he's, every loss falls back on him. I think that he just can get better. Dean says, Brad went to Tice because Rudy had to step away from the paint to guard, which opens up the paint, but he didn't. Tice made his threes, but if you watch, Rudy was in the paint, messing up Celtic shots and making it difficult for them. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you see that doesn't fully work, Brad, it's not like you just stick to your game plan. Daniel Tice made his threes because Rudy Gobert was not leaving the paint. So hey, let's throw Tice in there because it's gonna keep Rudy Gobert out of the paint. Well, when you see that it didn't work for the first 10 minutes of the game, you can't rely on that strategy anymore. I get the game plan, but game plan's got to change. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. News guy says, what faith should we have in Danny can convince anyone to deal with him? I have no hope for him making a move that takes his team over the hump. And honestly, I hate to say it as a Celtics fan, but what would give Celtics fans any sort of confidence that Danny's going to make this blockbuster championship-winning move? Other than getting Kevin Garnett and going and getting Ray Allen, like, Danny Ainge has made a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of smoke, but there hasn't been as much fire. I mean, you could say the Kyrie for Isaiah trade is a huge one, but that didn't even work out, so we can't talk like giving credit here, right? We've always heard about Paul George or Jimmy Butler or fireworks at the deadline, and then things don't transpire. So I do, for some reason, I feel like this team right now shows that something needs to happen, whether it's a blockbuster or just getting a couple extra pieces. I do feel like Danny would be stupid to be like, hey, this is the team that we should keep going with, because this is practically the same team as last year. It's like with Jeff Teague not really being a factor, none of the rookies. Pritchard, I guess, is good, so I guess I could say that. But this team just isn't as much, it isn't as different. It's not too different from last year, which I thought it was going to be. I don't see how Danny Ainge, being the GM that he should be, can say, okay, you know what, let's just roll with this team. Like, I don't agree with that. Kale says, just need Ainge to make some moves. Totally agree. JC says, Lonzo's averaging 17 points, by the way. Yeah, he's averaging 17 points on a team that is cooking right now. I don't think Lonzo Ball's a 17-point-per-game scorer. I'd probably peg him at like 14, which Kemba Walker just scored 7 tonight, so I mean, that's double him. But I think that the Pelicans got something cooking right now, and I think that he's just been balling out right now. So I you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to take away from Lonzo Ball, but I really don't know if he's a 17-point-per-game scorer. Kale says, I want Lonzo if that's not the only thing we do. Yeah, like I feel like I've had to rag on Lonzo over and over and over again on these streams, but it's like, that's just because I don't think Lonzo Ball's like the answer. If they get Lonzo Ball and, another guy and build this team all around, then I don't hate Lonzo Ball. Ray says they don't have solid playing time to players that can help them. For example, Robert Williams. Had Williams been playing all the time for a couple of years in a row, he would be a beast by now. It's a good point. It is. Like, look at a guy like Nesmith now. Now, I know Nesmith probably hasn't earned any playing time, but I feel like no one's you don't get better by riding on the bench, right? So it's like, are the Celtics is it because they're in this tough position where they have been, like, Eastern Conference Final, year after year? It's like they're contending, but are they contending, or could they benefit from being like, okay, you know what? Let's throw in our rookies. Let's throw him into the fire. Let's see what he can do. Robert Williams, I know you bring him up as an example. I do think that he's been injured for plenty of his career, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But a night like tonight, it was almost like they were afraid to play Robert Williams with Rudy Gobert. And to me, the way that game was going, Daniel Tice wasn't working. Tristan Thompson wasn't working. By those two not working, you're going to lose the game anyways, right? Just playing this hypothetical. Why not get Robert Williams some Rudy Gobert experience. You know what I mean? Why tell him pretty much to his face, no, you can go in when Georgie Niang or whatever the hell's in there. You know what I mean? Like it's telling him you're not good enough for that guy right now. And it's like, I don't know. Might as well throw him into the fire. I don't know. Kale says, Tice is a fine backup. Ainge has to give us more. Yeah, I think Tice off the bench, it would be incredible, especially the way he's shooting. Greg says, I guarantee Lonzo Ball has been shooting better than Kemba this year. That's how bad Kemba has been. I ain't happy. Yeah, I know. Like, that's the thing. When I make this Lonzo versus Kemba argument, I don't really have any legs to stand on based on some of these Kemba games. Let's see. Iker Martinez says, good game between two great teams. Regards from Spain. I love when we see the global aspect of the stream. Shout out to Spain there. Ray says, how is everyone going to get any good if you don't play them any playing time? So we can't criticize Edwards or anything else if they're not getting playing time, and that's a fact. I agree. Stone says, you getting flashbacks of 2018? Jay says, Lonzo behind Ingram and Zion, averaging 17 and playing great defense. Zoe defense and playmaking, 6 and Kemba Walker, bad knee. He's 23. Yeah, like I said, I still don't think Lonzo Ball comes here and averages 17 or drops 20 night after night. I'm more confident Kemba Walker gets his you-know-what together than Lonzo Ball coming here and being a 20-point-per-game scorer. Because, Jay, you keep bringing up Lonzo Ball. Even if Lonzo Ball averages 17, the Celtics really need a third guy to average more than that, because the drop-off even after Lonzo averaging 17 is going to be, Marcus Smart at 10? So you get 25, 17, 10. They need a lot more than that, and that's why Kemba Walker, if he's a 20-point scorer, that just does so much for this team, but he needs to be that 20-plus point scorer. Kale says, Kemba's age and health is the rush. Ray says, don't get me started on Marcus Smart thinking he has Steph Curry. Ubi says, what do you think about going out and getting Drummond? I don't hate the move. I think Drummond's had an off year. I don't hate it at all, especially if the price is really low. Not the monetary price. I think they'd have to use, the TP and whatnot. But I think, if you don't have to give up much beyond that, then I say, why not? I think he's a guy that could help the team. But I don't think he's as good as some might have thought. Sergio says, if it's for Cat, I think Kemba is gone. I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat. You give me Karl-Anthony Towns, Jason Tatum might, and this is, I'm towing a line here, but if you have to trade for Karl-Anthony Towns, Jason Tatum might be the only untouchable to me. I don't want to trade Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown's made an untouchable case, but I would have that conversation. Kemba Walker for Cat, though, peace. See? I'm not just a Kemba you-know-what rider. All right? Kelly says, this team ain't it. Besides Tatum and Brown, everyone should be available in the TP at the deadline. Yeah, guys, let me make this clear. Kemba Walker, I do have confidence that he's going to turn it around, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the only untouchable guys. The only reason I'm saying no to the trade Kemba right now is because Lonzo Ball has been the best name presented. If they can figure out a deal to bring in someone that's, a guaranteed sort of fringe all-star or definite all-star type player in place of Kemba Walker, sign me up. But Lonzo Ball, to me, it's like I'm not trusting Lonzo Ball to be Kemba's replacement scoring-wise. Greg says, if Danny Ainge doesn't make a trade or do anything, he's been so talkative about making moves, and this team won't make the conference finals and could lose first round. This team that we've been seeing as of late isn't making the conference finals. No Smart, I get that. A couple bad games from Jaylen in the past. Now a couple cold games from Kemba, Jason Tatum. Like we're not firing on cylinders here. That's no secret. But this team, the one that we've been seeing lately, I get it. They beat the Clippers, but I'm not confident in the conference finals either. Jay says 3-7 since Kemba's return. A lot of other factors in that too. Like I get it. Kemba's probably maybe the biggest issue in some of these losses, because a game like today, it's like 7 points. How do you say that? But how do they beat the Clippers without Kemba? That's the thing. It's like, it's easy to say trade Kemba right now, but then you're talking about the loss against the Clippers instead of a win against the Clippers. And that's 1-1 against two of the best teams in the league. Tommy says body language was bad also. Started with Brad. Quinn looked involved in the whole game. That's a good word, involved. Brad Stevens not involved in some of these games. Maybe he's drawing on his little whiteboard, or he could be drawing smiley faces for all we know. He's not involved in some of these games. Jordan says, is Jaylen's offensive progression worth his defensive regression? He balled out today. Do we really think Jaylen's gotten that much worse on defense? I know you say defensive regression, but is that a thing? Am I missing something? I think Jaylen's a fine defender. And honestly, if I haven't noticed the huge defensive regression, then I think, yes, Jaylen's offensive progression is worth the defensive regression, because to the naked eye, I don't think Jaylen's become this terrible defender. Sergio said, if that's the case with the TP, then what's rumors about Boston's got something brewing? I think the Celtics can go and get something that's not as like flashy as an Aaron Gordon or Drummond or Harrison Barnes. I think they can get some guys that help this team. Jay says, hire Chauncey Billups, give Brad one more year. It's year 8. Make it to year 10. I will vomit. Chauncey Billups is a name that I'd entertain, but again, I'm not on the fire, Brad. I'm not on the fire, Brad Steven Strain. Ray says, good show, bro. Good work, man. I'm glad that you really involve all of us. Unlike the other channel, I'm not mentioning any names, but there's 4 guys talking and do not involve the crowd like you. I think I know this show you're talking about. And I mean, that's something we're always going to do. We just took this over to YouTube. We've killed the Periscope game and Twitter for a couple of years now. And, you know, with Periscope shutting down at the end of March, so, you know, in a month and a half, we've taken the show over to YouTube, and, you know, it's tough. It's tough to read every comment. Sometimes I do have to skip comments. The OGs know that. But yeah, I like this show's nothing. I'm not trying to be on here just speaking my takes because I'm an idiot. Everyone that's tuned in for, you know, multiple seasons on this show knows how dumb I am. I'm only good for 2 things: being able to set up the stream, shotgunning beers, and that's how dumb I am. I feel like I was about to say a 3rd thing when I said 2 things. So, but yeah, shout out to you, Ray. Thank you for the compliment. And keep tuning into this show, not the other one. Kale says, Stevens is a rock and a hard place between Ainge, who's reluctant to move players, and the players he can't rely on. I still think Brad could be doing more with what he has, though. Develop some sort of a rotation. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, oh, well, we don't really have that good of players. Well, okay, we'll start playing them then. Robert Williams, Carson Edwards, Grant Williams, these guys don't know when they're going in or when they're not going in. Develop a rotation. Step number 1. And then, you know, screw it. If you don't have to develop a rotation, just get involved in the games. Let me see some fire, Brad. Gear says, what I'm mad about is every single year, no matter what our roster is, we have the same problems. Bad third quarters, too much ISO ball. Brad has to get together with the team. Yes, that's why I say Brad has to progress. Coming out of halftime when you're talking to the coach, when your coach should be making adjustments and or pumping you up, no excuse to come out flat and blow games in the third quarter. And then at the end of the game, you have a 23-year-old playing iso ball and Tatum sometimes, and you know, a timeout's called and Brad Stevens doesn't say, hey man, pass the ball. He just says, hey, keep doing you. You know what I mean? Like that is stuff that a coach can matter. And that's when I say a coach can matter just as much as a player. I know it's crazy it's like very few or seldom that we see a coach really, really matter. But some of these games, you know, that we've played this year, we see a guy that's involved in the game, and Brad Stevens just isn't. All right, skipping ahead just a little bit in the comments here. Damn, that's the 2nd time. 2 skips. Ugh. 2 skips. I feel bad, guys, but we're doing it. Wongy says, aren't Brad's teams supposed to have clear playing style identity? What's this team's? Yeah, like you're supposed to. Brad Stevens should have the go-to, like, oh, well, that's this team's specialty. Whoa, water, hold on. That's supposed to be his, like, thing, you know what I mean? Oh, well, this team, you know, maybe they don't do this very well, but they're going to make up for it here. This team does a lot of things poorly, and I don't know if they're making up for it. Like, they're not extravagant in any categories this year. So I think he's got to figure some stuff out, for sure. Jay says, we're not going to get Cat without giving up JB or JT, so it isn't even a decision. That's a pipe dream. Yeah, I think Cat is a pipe dream. And like I said, I don't even know. Maybe this is the green teamer in me, or maybe Jaylen Brown's been that good this year that I don't know if I would trade Jaylen Brown, because you'd have to give up more than Jaylen Brown, too, for Karl Anthony Towns. Again, maybe that's a green teamer in me, but Jaylen Brown's made a pretty damn, like, untouchable case. And this is the thing, too. I'm not just saying, oh, well, Jaylen Brown's better than Karl Anthony Towns. Does Karl Anthony Towns coming here, Jaylen Brown plus package going away, is like, does the team get that much better? Or are they better off getting, you know, maybe a guy that's just a step below Karl Anthony Towns and keeping Jaylen Brown? That's probably the route I would go. Boston Hot Takes, are you open to having Taco Fall play more? I don't know. I mean, I love Taco Fall, obviously, but I don't know if Taco Fall truly is ready. But at the same time, I was going to say, at the same time, it's like guys don't get better without playing, but Taco could be a huge risk out there. Like, he isn't NBA ready yet. We all love him. We all want him to be good, but I don't think he's really I think he's a tool right now, not an absolute staple. So I don't know if I'm open to having Taco Fall play more. If this season starts, heading towards the wrong end and they all of a sudden start stinking, then I think, okay, you know what? No holds barred, let's play Taco. But not right now. I think if you play Taco more, I think you're taking away from Robert Williams, and that's the guy I would say start throwing into the fire more. Greg says Zach LaVine, that's who we need. I think Zach LaVine would help this team. I don't know if he puts him over the edge. I'm not. Again, like it's tough for me because I don't know if that one superstar puts him over the edge either. They get another superstar. It's like, okay, well then they still got to figure out this bench, right? They still got to figure out other things on this team, and getting another guard. I know people have a big man problem. Okay, well they get another two guard in Zach LaVine. I think that there's still going to be flaws in this team, but I think this team's probably better with Zach LaVine over Kemba. I can admit that. But again, I don't know if that's like I don't know if you go Kemba to Zach LaVine and then all of a sudden you're a championship contender. Does that make sense? Ubi says I wanted Danny to trade Kemba for Drew, but Drew's price was too high. Yeah, that didn't make too much sense to me at the time. Like, Drew Holiday is good, but I feel like the way he was being pursued this offseason, it was like he was Michael Jordan. Greg says Bulls looking for a point guard too. Yeah, I think I would. I'd have to think about it, but like that's not too far off the reservation for me to go and get Zach LaVine for Kemba because I think he's just a really, really good player. News says, why would Pels want to trade Lonzo for anyone on the Celtics at this point? We don't have a treasure trove anymore. It's true. Ray says, thanks for mentioning her comments. Do you have a new subscriber? Well, thank you very much for subscribing. Guys, if you are watching right now, make sure to subscribe. If you're watching on Periscope, click the link that I just tweeted out. Head over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel. We go live after every single Celtics game. We got more. I do more videos on the channel as well. We're going to have some more guys from the Guy Boston Sports site doing some videos, and we have Jack and Sam, and KJ has been joining them a lot with Tim as well, doing pregame shows as well. So we got a lot of content coming on the YouTube channel. Ubi says, going back to the Raptors series next year, Nurse's antics on the sideline made a huge difference. Huge difference. Refs are humans too, and if they hear someone over and over and over again, they're going to blow the whistle and say, fine, we'll give you the call. Stone says, we need to get behind Kemba and support him. Probably sees this outside hate, which affects his confidence. I could be reaching here, but we need to support our max guy while he's still here. I think we should, yeah. I mean, I'm entertaining these questions here, but I've made it abundantly clear. I should have to you guys, right? That, like, Kemba, I don't think I'm on the Kemba trade. I think you trade Kemba at a low right now, you're going to get a return that, may not be as good as you'd like. And then if Kemba's playing well, that's when the trade value is the highest, but you wouldn't want to trade him. So right now the trade doesn't make as much sense to me because, I don't even know if the Bulls would be like, hey, yeah, we'll trade you, Zach LaVine, for Kemba Walker. It's like Kemba Walker's stock is pretty low right now. You might as well hold him. Tommy says, relax with the Kemba hate. He's hearing the outside noise, and it's affecting him. Time to get behind him. Don't forget this guy is actually good at basketball, and we need him to win good games. I mean, I'm not hating on Kemba. I hope you, those past two comments back-to-back, the chat in here, realize that I've defended Kemba somewhat here. I can't defend a 7 points from him, but I'm not ready to trade Kemba whatsoever. Kelly says, I want Zach LaVine or Harrison Barnes in pieces. I can't imagine Danny being okay with this team. Me neither. I don't think he is okay with this team. I'm hoping he gets it together and figures it out and makes a move. Wongi says, I said this a few streams ago, but don't think you've seen it. The season doesn't start until Smart has a dressing room bust up. Yeah, maybe he throws a chair again and gets mad at people, and it's like, okay, let's get this thing going. Sergio says, these next 2 weeks are going to be big for this team, facing teams we should beat or maybe in a group, maybe get in a groove with Kemba. Yeah, they play a bunch of games too, right? In the next couple of games, next couple of weeks, a bunch of games against, what is it? I think they have Washington, Atlanta a couple times. They have a lot of winnable games here, which again, it's to your point here, Kemba could get going as well. Hopefully that's the case. Tommy says the season is slipping away. The next 10 are extremely winnable. We need to go on a big streak. I agree. Like I said to start the stream, the losses are piling up. It's kind of scary. Greg says, if the rumors are true about second-round picks for P.J. Tucker and Drummond, you go get them and try to get another scorer, taller ball-handling guard, and then they get... I mean, yeah, if that's the thing. With Drummond, P.J. Tucker, if the price is that low, then I don't see why Danny Ainge would say, yeah, nah, not today. It's like 2 second-round picks for PJ Tucker. You get that veteran guy, a 3-and-D guy. I mean, a defensive guy, a guy that's has the veteran experience. And it's like, you don't need your second-round picks. You already have plenty of useless young guys. Sports Shy says, I don't understand Grant Williams can make mistakes and continue to get playing time, but Rob Williams does not get the same chances. Grant Williams, I wasn't off on tonight. I've been hard on him this year, but Grant Williams, to me, did a lot of good tonight. Did a lot of bad, but did a decent amount of good. And in a game that was super, super messy, I think that I'm okay with him playing tonight. But Robert Williams could have played more. Like, Robert Williams, 12 minutes tonight, and it was the minute Rudy Gobert would get in there, it's like, Brad's like, get out of there, Rob, get out of there, or else you're going to explode. And Robert Williams is like, okay, I'll get off the court. But to me, it's telling him, like, you're not good enough to play right now, get off the court. I don't like that. Jay says, I don't think we want a 35-year-old undersized PJ Tucker. But why? Who is that preventing? Semi Ojeleye? Or Javonte Green? Like, why wouldn't you want PJ Tucker? That's what I don't get. I'm not saying PJ Tucker is the end-all, be-all, the answer to our championship desires, but what does it hurt? It doesn't make sense to me why I'm not saying PJ Tucker's the future of this team either, Jay. Why wouldn't you want PJ Tucker? Zach LaVine, bro, we don't need another ball-dominant player. We need playmaking, easy buckets. You do. What you don't realize here is that the Celtics do need another scorer if Kemba's gone. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are great, but the difference between having 2 scorers and 3 scorers could be huge if one of them has an off night. Now, tonight's a terrible example because only one of them had a really good night and then Kemba didn't step up. But if you go Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and then your next best option is Lonzo Ball, I think that could be an issue. Jay says, I would do Kemba for Zach if it was an option, but they're saying the Bulls are after Lonzo. I don't know if the Bulls would. I feel like, yeah, I mean, if I don't know, it's tough. I don't know what the Bulls are thinking, but I feel like a Kemba Walker and Zach LaVine trade on both sides could be tough to work out because both sides are going to think they have the better player. But like a Lonzo Ball for Zach LaVine type trade, it's like obviously Lonzo Ball is going to come with extras. But it's like Kemba Walker and the Bulls, I feel like both teams could be like, no, you give us a pick. Or no, we give you, like, it could be confusing. Kevin says, trade the Jays and Marcus Smart for JaVale McGee, Andre Drummond, and Kevin Love so we have enough rebounding for all the bricks Kemba's putting up. Jay says, I love Kemba Walker, but that knee is evident. He needs to have surgery and come back. I don't know if it's been the knee. It's been the shooting. Kemba Walker looks good. To the eye, he's moving well. He's cutting well. I don't think it's the knee right now. I think it's in his head, and he's not in the rhythm. Kale says Smart's missed on defense. Totally. Greg says the thing with Kemba is he doesn't play back-to-backs. That's huge for a guy with max money. He doesn't play back-to-backs because of the knee right now. I think by season's end, if the knee's not a problem, he will be playing back-to-backs. But I agree with you. If that's going to be a consistent problem, which it seems like it has been so far, that is because then you're technically playing a guy max money to play half the games. If playing double bigs, it should be Tyson Robb. I don't hate that. I like that. Kale says it's hard to say trade this player and trade that player, but I hope we see some health in the team and try to get some consistency. Yeah, agree with you there. JC says second round pick for Drummond. Hell yeah. I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat. Another reason why I would trade Kemba is I still think he's good and a good human, being nice for the team. It just hurts watching him play sometimes. So Greg wants to trade Kemba just because he doesn't like to see him fail in games. I respect it. Sergio says Semi needs to go. He just doesn't bring anything that helps the team move to the next level. Yes, Semi, Javonte Green. Jeff Teague's the king of that now. We should all know that. Jeff Green literally dribbles the ball for 5 seconds out of the shot clock and then just does it. Nothing progresses on the offensive end. And then he's a liability in defense. But yeah, I think there's a lot of garbage guys right now on the team. Ubi, I see you moved over to YouTube. Shout out to you. I don't know if that's even your name, Ubi, but I think I'm just going with Ubi. I would do anything to get Semi out of the rotation. Yeah, I think Semi's just, he was kind of all smoke at the beginning of the year. We thought he had taken a huge step up, thought he had played better, but I'm not seeing it too much from Semi. I don't think that he's your future. Steven says, fire Brad. I don't know about fire Brad, but we talked about Brad plenty on this stream tonight. I do think he should get better. Anthony says, few trade targets. Harrison Barnes, Zach LaVine, Beal, Eric Gordon. Guys, go check out it's on the YouTube channel as well if you subscribed here. I just did episode 100 of the podcast of Unleashed, the most legit Celtics podcast in the game. And I tweeted out probably, an hour before doing the show, hey, who do you want the Celtics to trade for? And I just read off it was a very, very non-edited, non-planned out podcast, and just screen shared and read out all the comments and the trade proposals. And I reacted to a lot of those names: Harrison Barnes, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, Eric Gordon. So go check out that podcast. But yeah, I think, any of those names would help this team. I don't know if Bradley Beal is going to be an option. I think you'd have to give up Jaylen for him. Eric Gordon's an interesting name. I think that's a guy that could help the team, and you wouldn't have to give up squat for him. All Sports says, in my opinion, our biggest issue long-term will be the lack of consistency from our bigs. I don't see Tristan Thompson or Tice being able to stop guys like Embiid in the playoffs. C's need a guy like Nikola. I hit the wall. I can't read comments anymore. I'm getting tired. Nikola Vucevic. I do think the misconception, I think, amongst fans right now, this is a good comment, I'm not ragging on your comment, is that we go get a big to stop Embiid. I don't think anyone in the league can stop Embiid, and definitely not anyone that's available, right? So I think the idea of stopping Embiid isn't the right sort of verbiage here, because you don't want to stop Embiid, you want to stop 99% of all the other bigs. When you play Embiid, Embiid's going to get his no matter who he's playing against. Make his life a little bit more difficult, I'll give you that. But getting a guy that's going to stop Embiid, I don't know, you'd have a hard time just plucking a guy in a fantasy world to stop Embiid. Never mind having and going to trade for a guy that's available. But getting a big to clog the lane, rim protect, rebound, I don't see any harm in that, definitely. Kale says Kemba looks agile enough to me. Kelly says should have gotten D Rose, got traded for a bag of chips. Yeah, that would have been a guy. I think that would have been a guy that would have been really, really, really good to me. Like I think he's sort of the veteran guard, can still score, still has some explosiveness, can do multiple things. That would have been a really, really nice pickup to me. Sergio says, I'd take Victor Favarini and Gigi Datome after semi this point. Shout out to those throwbacks. Jay says, I love Kemba Walker. It hurts to see no Hornets Kemba. That guy was a superstar. Yeah, it does. But we've had some good Kemba games in the past, and even this year. I think Kemba, we're being too hard on him right now. Like, where is the Kemba love that was just a couple nights ago when he clutched up against the Clippers? It's like the recency bias is real with Kemba, clearly. Greg says, remember back in 2009 or so that Celtics didn't want to trade Rondo for Curry. Imagine if we did and he was still here. Big if. I'll give you that, because Rondo obviously was great for the Celtics. They still went to the championship after that with him. But if you make the if Curry was still here, then I'll give you that. I'll give you that, Greg. Jay says, we might have to trade Tice as a free agent next season. Someone might overpay for him. Yeah, I'm fine with trading Tice. I think I've said it before. Tice is the type of guy who you love right now, and I do love right now, especially as he gets better at shooting, but he'll go to another team, and you forget he existed. Jonas Jerebko, Kelly Olynyk, like, it's going to happen. Wangi says, I feel like a few years from now, players have been leaving, and they haven't been replaced. Yeah, not a bad point. Buck says, just got to get a win streak going. Losing Hayward, I think, is a big loss. Yeah, I do. I do think Hayward is showing to be a little bit bigger of a loss, because when they have off nights from Brown and then also Kemba, it's like you don't even have that fourth option that was averaging 17 for you, which is kind of crazy. Steven says a double big lineup should be Tyson Rob, but for some reason Brad hates Rob. It tells me that he's like not ready. I don't know. JC says mellow ball and the Hornets look so fun. Oh my God. And you guys know, if you've been, following for a long time, I love Terry Rozier. That is a great team to watch right now, the Hornets. Great team to watch right now. Like, I would be excited if I was a Hornets fan. They don't have the best record. They're like right around 500, but that's a fun team to watch. Really, really young. I could see them being good soon. Maybe. Kale says Kemba didn't clutch up tonight. He did not. Kevin says, what are your thoughts on the front court and how he played against Rudy Kareem Gobert? I think that, you had no answer for him, right? And obviously, you're not going to have an answer for him. And that's why I don't like the idea of, hey, let's just throw Daniel Tice at him. They didn't mix anything up to try and get Gobert out of his rhythm, call it, or his game. They just let him do him, and they threw Daniel Tice and hoped that he would just be nagging enough to make him stink. All right, we're going to take a few more comments here, and then we are going to jump out. Guys, again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're here live after every single Celtics game. And, we're putting more content on the YouTube channel as well. It is not just these streams. But even if it was these streams, that makes it worth it. Let's see. Buck says, Celtics need a trade, and it's time to do it. Something to fix this team. We're not going anywhere with this team. I agree. I think they need to do something. Kale says, Rondo is my favorite player. Ubi says, Brad did a pretty decent job hiding IT on D, but for some reason he can't do that with Kemba. I think he might be the problem. He gets picked on D so much that it might affect his offense. Yeah, I think they might have had a more, like Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, they might have had a more gritty defense to hide Isaiah then. So it is the personnel, right? But I see your point. Sergio says, we need someone with Marcus Morris fire off the bench. Good point. Greg says, we could have had Miles Turner, Doug McDermott, and those guys have been so great this year. The thing is, if that trade was honestly on the table, it's like, it sucks that they didn't pull the trigger. The ultimate last say was up to Gordon Hayward, though, so to say that we could have had those, I see where you're coming from, but who knows? Let's see. He says, Buck says, I'm new, man. You've been doing this Celtics on YouTube for a while. We just started doing YouTube this season. We've been doing it on Periscope and Twitter for a couple of years now. But we just moved over to YouTube, and we come live after every single Celtics game. So I'm glad you're tuning in. Buccaneers fan. Super Bowl dub. Tom Brady, let's go. Greg says, a guy that is going to go off on a team I would love cheaper center is Plumlee from the Pistons. I don't know. I mean, the one thing I'll say is I don't think you'd have to give up much, and I do think he instantly becomes one of your better big men and bigger big men, but I don't know if I'm looking for Plumlee, Greg. He says he would take Cody Zeller at this point. So what move do you individually hope Danny does? I would say anything. I'm looking at more of the bench than the superstars. So you go and get me JJ Redick and then a guy in the tier of PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, a guy that doesn't make the headlines, doesn't make huge waves. I think you get JJ Redick and a guy that's like a 3-and-D sort of guy that has veteran status. I think this team becomes a lot better. And again, I'm not saying you don't need the trade player exception or you don't need the superstar. I'm just saying right now at the trade deadline, you don't need to rush into using it. So Jay, that is my sort of, okay, what do you want right now? And I see the comment here. Kelly says, what's your opinion? Do you want to go out and get realistically? That's what I want to get realistically. It's nothing drastic. But I think that's a fair ask. And that's why realistically is the word here. Because I've been let down by Danny Ainge too much to be like, oh, let me go get Karl Anthony Towns. Or let me go get, Bradley Beal. It's like, well, they're probably going to, end up just bringing up a G League guy or signing another Javonte Green. So realistically, I'm looking for JJ Redick. I think that would be a huge help. And then someone that is in the same tier as a PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon. Drummond, I think, is realistic. So if that's who you want to go and get, I think you could pull the trigger on him, especially because the price is so low. But then you would be definitely using all of that TPE. All right, guys. I think we're going to turn the stream off for tonight. Greg, actually, I see this 15 and 15 in a game this year. That's how good he's been. So, yeah, I mean, if we're getting Plumlee for 15 and 15, Greg, I didn't know he was averaging 15-15. I was just using my overall preconceived notion on Plumlee. I guess I would take a 15 and 15 guy. So you got me there. And then LA says, what about Blake Griffin? It's not a bad idea either. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea either. I don't think Blake Griffin's price has probably ever been lower. I mean, he's not a superstar anymore, and I think that he could be. I like that idea. I do. But all right, guys, we're gonna turn down the stream for tonight. Tough Celtics loss, but again, it's always good coming on here and talking Celtics with you guys afterwards to make it a little bit better. But again, if you watched on YouTube tonight, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching right now, if you're in the stream right now, hit the like button on this stream. I would really, really appreciate it. It does a lot. These videos go up as replays after the fact too, so you can definitely come back and watch it as well and leave a comment and whatnot. But all right, guys, we will talk to you in the next stream. Hopefully we're talking about a dub. I feel like we're talking about too many losses at this point compared to previous seasons. But we'll catch you guys in the next stream. Go Celts. We got to turn it on. Win a winnable stretch coming up. Let's go on a streak.